Okay, finding inverses has two steps that are common for all problems. First thing you do is you switch x and y. So f of x and g of x and h of x are fancy ways of saying y. So we switch places. X would go first, and then for these two x's, you should write y's. After you switch x and y, step number 2, solve for y. So we need to start working on getting y by itself. But we've got a fraction issue here, so I'm going to first move the 2 to the other side by subtracting 2. And now to get rid of this fraction, I'm going to multiply both sides by 3y minus 1. Over here, we're going to need to FOIL. This is a binomial being multiplied by a binomial. So, first terms would get you 3xy. Outside terms, minus 6y. Inside terms is a minus x. And the last terms is a positive 2. That's just FOILing. The only thing left on this side is 4y. At this point, the items that have y need to be on the same side of the equal sign, and the things that don't have y need to be on the same side. It doesn't matter which side you put things on. So these two things that have y in them, I'm going to move to the right side of the equal sign. So the negative x and that positive 2 will stay on the left side. I need to add 6y to move it over, and I need to subtract 3xy to move it over. So, if they each have a y in it, at this point we will pull the y out, or factor it out, which will leave the 10 and the minus 3x behind. And finally, just divide by that binomial that's next to the y. And there is your solution. You should get used to writing the correct notation. So the inverse of f is equal to Okay. B, first step, switch x and y. And now solve for y. Why is that so hard to see? Oh, that's better. Okay. So here's an example of a problem that's written in logarithm form. We need to solve for that y, which is a base. So logarithm form is not what we're using. We need to convert this to exponent form. So hopefully you have your positions memorized. The base is that 5y plus 7. The exponent is the x. And it is equal to 6. At this point, we need to get rid of the x, so we raise both sides to the reciprocal to get rid of it, which would make this side 1 over x. Your other option is the x root of 6. Both of these are the same. That's what gets rid of that x. The last step would be dividing by the 7 and, subtracting the 7 and dividing by 5. Subtract the 7, divide by 5. Don't know why that's so hard to see. So I'm just going to use the correct notation just to practice. Okay. Last problem here, switching x and y. So here's an example where we're trying to solve for y, which is located in the exponent, which means we need logarithms to solve this. However, we needed an exponent form first. So the 4 and the 6, we need to move to the other side. So I'm going to add 4 to move it, and then divide by 6 to get rid of it, to get to a simple exponent problem. At this point, I'm going to write it in logarithm form, base is the 5. That gets written down there by the tail of the G. The x plus 4 over 6 would go next, and that's equal to the exponent, which in this case is y plus 2. So the last step is just to move the 2 to the other side by subtracting it, and you're done. Okay, I'm going to throw up problem number 2. Throw it up here, press pause. Press pause right now and copy that problem down. And here are the solutions for it. Hopefully you can see that. That's 1 over x right there. Okay, here's problem number 3. Give yourself time to copy that down. Press pause if you need more time. And here's the solution to problem number 3. And that is the inverses.